When you follow your heart, when you summon the courage to do the thing that you really want to do, your world becomes magical right away. All right. So we're finally getting around to it. I've told myself every night that I'm gonna come out here and smoke my pipe, have a chat with you. And as I'm starting, there are 3 very drunk men walking down the street. I don't think you're gonna be able to see them. They're just arm in arm, swaying back and forth. Actually, I'm kind of in the dark. Maybe we should just go for a little stroll. I told myself as I was going to be filming these night videos that I would maybe be a little more contemplative or talk about things I'm thinking about rather than just narrating stuff. I think the thing that's been on my mind a lot lately, and it actually came up on my date. The person I went on a date with today is a former news anchor, and she was telling me that although that was her major in school and a career that she was in for about 10 years, it was very competitive and, you know, it was very hard work. And at the end of the day, it wasn't very fulfilling. And so she made a very difficult decision to leave that job, and is now, you know, in their 30s, living with their parents, not really sure what they want to do with their life. And they were just sharing that that's a, you know, an uncomfortable place to be, especially, and this is my thought now, but I imagine it's also hard, you know, when your peers are also maybe 10 or more years into their career and they seem settled and like maybe they're getting married, they're having kids. And if you're in your 30s and you don't have that, it's very easy to get frustrated and to think that you're falling behind. And if you feel that way, I'm not going to talk you out of it. I'm not going to tell you how to feel about your life, or you know, if your priority in life is to get married and have kids and raise a family, and you know, that's a totally fine thing to want. There's a lot to be said for that. But I was also saying to her, you know, I think it takes a lot of courage to be that deep in a career, you know, and if you're genuinely not happy, you know, to sort of risk leaving that. But the thing I think I'm really trying to get at here is, you know, it means that while other people can comfort themselves, even if they're not really happy in their jobs, they can still comfort themselves, you know, when they're in social situations or when they're connecting with people and people ask, how are you doing? They get to say things like, oh, well, I'm working here, or I just got married, or we just had kids. And it's the types of things that you can say in a social setting, and people, you know, smile and nod and give you validation, and oh, that's great. At least you have that. That's a type of social currency that we have everywhere in the United States, here in Taiwan probably. It feels very uncomfortable to be in your 30s and people ask you, hey, what's going on? And you're like, oh, well, I just left my job. I'm not really sure what I want to do. I'm living back with my parents. And you see people's brow furrow and they try to feign enthusiasm or optimism, but maybe you read into their face a kind of concern or silent judgment. You're somehow not making it or something. I mean, I experienced that in my life many times and in many different ways. I mean, I experienced it just when I pursued music for a long time. I languished at a junior college for a number of years, and in my early 20s decided to move to California and worked at a bar restaurant for many years. But the entire time I was like writing music and writing songs and recording songs, and eventually started to play out and all that sort of stuff. But the point is that Like, I remember there was this interesting moment when I was working at this bar where some guy, I didn't even recognize him, but he goes, "Hey, Kyle." And I was like, "Yeah?" I didn't know who he was. And he's like, "Oh, it's me." I'll just give his initials. His initials are DS. He says, "It's me, DS." And I was like, holy shit, I didn't even recognize him. But we had gone to like elementary school together. And he was now in the Bay Area going to dental school. And he was friendly enough, he was not rude, but I could just see this like he was just perplexed. Why was he finding me in this bar? I mean, here he is going to dental school. He's about to launch his own dental practice, and yet this person he went to school with is just working at a bar. Like, but where am I going with that? Oh, I think I'm just saying I've experienced these type of encounters in my life. And then when I'm doing music, you know, while other people are, again, knee deep in their career, I'm driving around the country, sleeping in my van, not only not making money, but spending money to play for nobody. And it wasn't always that. I mean, eventually you play some cool shows, or you get X number of streams on Spotify, so that when people look you up, it looks like you have things going on. But even then, it's not the traditional sort of thing. But even when I looked up at 35 and decided I wanted to do something else, so I went back to school, you know, you're sort of, even though you're kind of getting back into the stream of life, as it were, you're also treated as a little strange, because you're in your mid-30s and you're in college with a bunch of young people, and there seems to be this looming question in people's eyes, which is like, what kind of mistakes did this guy make to land here? Or they kind of say, oh, I hope I don't make the same choices that lead me to live a life like this guy. Because you're kind of meeting them, you're older and you're meeting them in the same place and they're younger, I don't know, they almost feel like something went terribly wrong in your life to put you this far behind. This is the theme I'm trying to get back to. Are you ahead? Are you behind of where other people are at? And obviously I'm biased because this is my life, and this could all just be some gross rationalization for my own mistakes in life or whatever. But I was trying to communicate to this person that there's a type of courage that you can live with when you follow your heart. And I mean really follow your heart. If you're not happy in the job or the relationship, I just think it's a much bigger mistake to think, oh, well, I've invested this much time. It would be a waste to throw it away now. Or, you know, to think, oh, well, I'm not happy, but this is what I should be doing. Should is a very dangerous word. And I don't just say, you know, it's not like I'm just sort of preaching here. I mean, I know it's a dangerous word because it's been one of the biggest inhibitors in my life. It's kept me from doing a lot of, from following my own heart in a lot of situations. I should be doing this. I should be playing this type of music. I should be in this type of relationship. I should want this. I should want that. And yet, when you follow your heart, when you summon the courage to do the thing that you really want to do, your world becomes magical right away. You know, I'm in my own transitional period right now. But just going back to school, majoring in what I wanted to major into. You know, my dad is like, oh, you should, you know, my dad's very adamant that I somehow get into semiconductor technology, right? Now that I'm in Taiwan or whatever, something very practical. But I just want to read Chinese philosophy and literature and all that sort of stuff. Where am I going with this? I'm starting to lose the plot here a little bit. But I guess what I'm saying is once I choose the right major, I have all these classes where I feel like I'm learning exactly what I'm supposed to be learning. Not because it's practical or it's going to get me a job, but internally, psycho-spiritually, almost on a metaphysical level. And I'm not religious at all, but I just mean you just know you're in the right place. You're reading the right books at the right time, and you're, you know, it is like there's a spiritual force in your life that's kind of blowing wind into your sails and telling you that, yes, you're on the right path, you're on the right path. And that doesn't make sense to a lot of people sometimes. Or it doesn't make sense to people other than yourself. You know, for me, learning Chinese was the right choice because I thought it would be a doorway into reading Chinese philosophy in the original language, and it is that. But the real value, which I couldn't have foreseen, is the places that language study would take me. I mean, you've heard me speak some Mandarin by now, and people who speak Mandarin, if you don't speak Mandarin, you might be impressed. People who speak Mandarin know that my Mandarin sucks. But that's, you know, and so maybe by those people's standards, my language study has clearly been a waste of time. But the real Jedi perspective is that it's brought me here. It's brought me to Taiwan. You know, my language study afforded me the opportunity to get a scholarship to come to Taiwan, which was not even a place that was really on my radar. But I came here and I loved it and it was magical, and, you know, now I'm back. You know, but for beginning to learn Mandarin, I would not have had, you know, the wonderful date that I had today and the wonderful conversation, or meet a good person and learn about their life and their experiences. And the precarious part of that is that's not really something that you can take to the bank, right? Or show other people and have them smile and nod. Or maybe some people, not everybody, but maybe you. You know, it's like my only goal with all of this is to just kind of walk around and share my thoughts. And as I'm going throughout my day, there's not a lot of flashy this or that, or chain smoker music in the background and crazy edits or whatever. But if you're the type of person who likes to just kind of chill and hang out with a fairly decent guy and maybe occasionally have some contemplative conversation, if that's your speed, then I think that this is for you. The types of things that I think are valuable might not be important for everybody, but but for me, I think it's really the stuff that kind of gives life meaning. Because you really only get one shot at it. You only get one trip around the sun, and you start sounding like a stoned college student when you talk this way, but I think on our deathbed, most of us are not going to say, excuse me, most of us are not going to say, wow, I'm really glad I had X amount of money in the bank. And I don't know. I admit I'm starting to lose my poignancy here. But all I'm trying to say is follow your heart. Because when you start doing that, the world becomes magical. I don't know. I'm trying to find something important to land on here, but maybe it's just the cliche, follow your heart. Anyway, I'm not sure if I've made sense, but this is probably exactly the type of conversation you should have over a pipe in the late evening as you're sort of getting ready for bed. So yeah, in a world of digestible content where, you know, you could find something like this as easy as you can Game of Thrones, you know, to sit and spend time with us is an investment. It's an investment of your time. So after this car goes by, I'll just say thank you for your time. Look forward to picking up the conversation again another time soon. But for now, as they say in Taiwan, Wan An. Good night.